What a wild weekend in college football. And so we're going to chop it up about that in the SEC here on the Sooner or Later Sports Show. Y'all know who that is. That is Coop. I am your host, Jay. Thanks for pulling up here on the YouTube channel and listening wherever podcasts are downloaded and listened to while you're here. Please wipe your feet, like, subscribe, rate, review, give us 5 stars. You don't think we deserve it? Just go ahead and give us 5 anyway and gift it. So on today's episode of the Sooner or Later Sports Show, we got a lot of fun stuff to talk about and dive into. We're going to talk about the SEC games, right? And we're going to talk about what all that actually means for us as Sooner fans. We'll talk about what we expect, because guess what? It is Texas Hate Week. And we're just going to have fun and get you all in the comments and tell us what you feel. So, Coop, happy Sunday, man. How you feeling today?
Jay, I am feeling terrific. It feels like what's I think there's a quote from a movie. It's like, I feel thin, like a knife, butter spread over too much bread. I think it's from one of the Hobbit movies. And I feel like the hate has just been spread out. And it's pretty funny just because, man, it's just like my tweet I put out, the last one was, man, any given game, any given day. This year has been pretty crazy, and a lot of people lost a lot of money yesterday. So I'm excited. Yeah. It's now it's go time, and we got lots of fun to talk about.
We do. We got a lot of fun things to talk about because why? It is Texas Hate Week, and a lot of stuff went down. So thank y'all for pulling up. Shout out to the sponsor to the live stream, Prize Picks. You can check them out. Link in the description below. They're hooking you up. Use our code UNFAIR to get $50 instantly when you play your first $5 plus lineup. Man, this weekend was wild. I see all y'all in the comments. Hey, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? So glad to see you all pulling up. Man, it is Red River Week, so it's Texas Hate Week. We had it for 2 weeks, but to be honest, they don't deserve all our energy, but they get all our energy this week. We get to have Red River. It's going to be great, 2:30 in the afternoon. So y'all get to enjoy it in like heat and stuff. I will get to watch it in front of probably an additional 14 other televisions because I have to work this weekend. Yay. That's the sad part. But I will get to watch the game. That's the only good thing is I do get the opportunity to watch the game. So this past Saturday though, like it's funny, Coop. Let me open with this. October 12th was supposed to be like the greatest college football weekend potentially ever, right? The list from, Texas, Oklahoma to Penn State, USC. You're supposed to have some big matchups with, Ohio State, Oregon, Ole Miss, LSU. Like there was like layers upon layers and stacks upon stacks of big games. But then last weekend walked in and said, hey guys, yesterday said, hey, what's up, y'all? Don't forget about us. We about to disrupt everything. There was 7 upsets over the weekend? 7 teams that were ranked. Let me go ahead and do the calculations really quick because there was a lot of ranked teams that took L's. You had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You had 6 ranked teams with 5 of them losing to unranked teams and one of them being a lower ranked team beating the dog snot out of another one. Cool. How did you enjoy this weekend?
Mama Bear is on a nice little ladies trip, so she was out and so had a soccer game in Oklahoma City, and okay. I'm trying to take a look at the phone, while we're driving, and playing some stuff in my earphones while the kids are listening to just some randomness, and I'd like to start with a team that found a few dollars worth of success and thought that they were the latest greatest, and that's our friends up there in Missouri. And that was not a loss. That was an whooping. It was a whooping, Jay. And so look at that. Typically whenever I see a team up, and I think this started back in the days when I needed. This is how long ago. is I need Matt Ryan's Boston College team to beat Miami years ago, and for Oklahoma for better seeding. And every time I turn the game on, the team that I wanted to lose makes a big comeback. And so, man, I was really compromised on what I wanted to do. I wanted to tune in and watch these games and possibly see them, turn it around and make late day rushes. And I didn't have any self-control, Jay, and I turned them on, so I got to watch the end of the Missouri game. Got to watch the Vanderbilt Alabama game. I got to watch our friend Tebow and Minnesota. So it seemed like even superstition could not take away the chaos that was created here yesterday.
No, I 100% agree. I was on the couch enjoying all of the festivities. Had to get my hair retwisted before I get ready to go out of town. So I stayed home and enjoyed all the greatness of this Coop. It was amazing. So it's funny, as y'all know, if you all are frequent viewers in here, don't worry, we'll talk about the rankings. We'll talk about the AP poll. I'm going to pull them up so that we can have a discussion about that. But those of you that are frequent to the channel, y'all know I do a thing on Bleacher Report with some other guys. They invited me in, so I was able to, slowly infiltrate what they're doing. But on the Bleacher Report show, Coop, they were our first game and item up for bid was this Texas A&M Missouri game. And when I looked at this game, Coop, I said, why is Texas A&M a 2-point favorite in this game? Hold up. The opening line was like 1.5. Why is Texas A&M a 2.5-point favorite on some books? Why is Texas A&M, the number 25 team in the country, a favorite at home against the number 9 team in the country? I did not understand it. It just threw me for a loop. So the first thing I told everybody was, Texas A&M about to beat the snot out of Missouri. They gonna beat them. Because Vegas is telling you that, right? They're telling you that Missouri is not as good as everybody expected. And boy, did the Missouri fans turn heavily on people on their team. Man, like some of these tweets had me in shock. Like, I saw the one from the one cat that I know that trolls all the time. He basically said, Oklahoma fans should be happy that we took away Caden Green. So I think Caden Green was getting worked.
Caden was getting really worked. Whether it was a combo or a straight up, he was getting...
Coop. It's so funny because on the broadcast, they pointed out that spot and said, this is exactly what A&M wanted. That's the matchup they want. I felt so bad. I'm like, dang, dog. That was wow. I was like, that's a level of disrespect I would never want to happen to me. But at this point, we know no team is safe from an upset.
No.
So bumping your gums as much as you want to, you got to recognize nobody's safe from an upset.
Exactly.
Oh, boy. But that was a big one. You had that, and then the number 1 team in the country goes down. Vanderbilt hit them boys. Clark Lee, that they actually have surpassed their win totals for the season now. Congratulations for anybody that took that bet. Shout out to you, because their win total was 2.5.
And they're gonna be the prime focal point of 2 SEC shorts through week 6 already.
Yep.
Vanderbilt's about to come out in the pimping gear in the SEC shorts yet again, and it's going to be glorious. It's going to be glorious.
Cool. We all know that they still ain't got their stadium done yet, and they cooking boys.
I mean, you saw Clark Lee in that offense last year, like up through the first half of the season. I mean, they were cooking. They were up there atop towards the top of a lot of the offensive categories for offense. And man, it just continues that you can't take any specific week lightly. You got to be able to go in and you have to play the game in front of you, no matter who it is. And listen, you can't. I'm gonna probably go against what I'm saying right here in a few minutes here, but you can't do this team lost to this worst team, and now we are playing them, and the whole like schedule comparison and stuff like that. Can't really do that because every week different matchups. Are you going to play good this week? Is somebody else going to play not as well? And so I mean, I'm going to echo what you said just a few seconds ago, Jay, is flapping the gums. It ain't going to get you anything because there's a lot of gum flappers out there on the Bird app that are very, very, very quiet today.
Yep. And Vanderbilt could have been undefeated this season, man. They had so many opportunities and they just didn't do very well. But dude, the fact that they muscled Alabama in that game. Like I want to talk. We could talk about Missouri, but the unfortunate thing about talking about Missouri is just talking about how they were down 34-0 on the road. As we all have laughed at Texas A&M is 4-1.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, they're 5-1. They're number 15 team in the country. They're 5-1. They quietly are putting together a season where they could potentially be for real upsetting folks going forward. Like
with a second string quarterback.
Actually, Weigman played in this game. And this is the thing that shocked the hell out of me. Because I'm watching, I'm like, all right, if Marcel Reed can make things happen, cool. I could totally see it. They lost that game at home to Notre Dame, and they have won every game since. And honestly, they've got 2 games. They've got 2 games that could be a problem for them. That is LSU coming to town and Texas at the end of the season. Coop, there is a world where this team only loses 1 game, maybe 2. Because I can think they can split LSU Texas.
Because what are these 2 teams? We're about to find out a little bit about Texas this week.
Yep.
Because their best win just took an L from unranked Washington, who lost to Washington State and Rutgers.
Yep.
But yeah, you were saying that the Bama situation. It's like I said, I didn't want to turn the channel on because eventually just massive talent mismatch takes over.
Correct. Well, you would think.
It usually does. And it seems like Alabama was always either on offense, getting some wacky play like the Ryan Williams touchdown against Georgia, to where it looked like the defensive backs were drunk trying to make tackles. Against Wisconsin, quarterback goes out 8 plays in for Wisconsin, and they had a guy who just definitely wasn't ready to go. Even in was it the UCF game or USF game? Their quarterback was just tossing the ball straight to dudes who didn't even have coverage on anybody.
Right.
So like it just absolutely, was one of those deals where you're like, surely if I'm this is the drive where Alabama goes down, scores in 2 plays, and then gets a turnover, and then scores in another, and now they're up by 10 or something, right?
Right.
And it looked like Vanderbilt was like, "Yo, hey, we're gonna run. We got two first downs we need right here, and so we're gonna start off on a run here, and they get 8 yards, and then all right, now we get a chance to do whatever we want, and they get 15 yards, and I mean, it had dudes throwing mouthpieces, kicking the football. I mean, it looked. I love the passion, but it definitely didn't look like that Alabama team that we are used to seing. And so
that is very fair.
We got a lot of Alabama guys because the Alabama guys, they weren't. I mean, I got to say, for the content creators, all of our boys, it seemed like they were just taking what it was. Hey man, they showed up, they hit us, they kept on hitting us, and we never shut it down. So
the wild part about this game, Coop, is Vanderbilt took the lead to start the game on the first drive, 7-0, and never gave it up. They had the lead the entire game. There was not one moment where Alabama took the lead from them. That, my friend, is the wildest thought. Of course, the crazy stat came out on the Bird, on the social medias. In the 4 games that Vanderbilt played against Nick Saban allowed 13 points. those teams. They had 13 points in the first quarter in this game. The crazy pick six. I mean, that pick six was wild. Like, the ball got tipped somehow, flew in the air like 1,000 feet, and yeah, it was amazing. And they got the touchdown. And what's even makes it crazier, they get that pick six, they mix the extra point, Bama goes down and score, and they respond back with their own touchdown. Like, this game was like Vanderbilt was going to control it the entire time. It's bananas how it ended. Let me look at time of possession in this game. You know what the time of possession is in this game, Coop? I don't even think you could guess it if you don't know it.
I would say I'm not looking at it, but I would definitely say it was something like we've seen on our side, like 2/3 of the time to Vandy.
Dog. Coop. Vanderbilt had the ball for 42 minutes. Yeah, right. To Alabama 17. That is crazy to me. They had the ball for 42 minutes. Like, all they kept doing was keeping the ball going. And Diego Pavia, shout out to him.
Yes.
He was 16 for 20 in the game, 252. Not a whole bunch of yards, but he was 16 for 20. He was consistently completing passes. So the clock was never stopped. To me, the way that Bama played against Georgia, you saw how that defense was getting gassed at the end. Mm-hmm. Vanderbilt took advantage of that. They just kept
them on.
Kept them on the field. Nonstop. If I'm correct, Bama has a bye week this week. Do they? Or was it last week? No, they're playing this week. Their bye week was... Yeah, their bye week was the week before Georgia. They already look gassed.
They got 1, 2. It looks like their next bye week is the first week of November before so they got South Carolina at Tennessee and then Missouri at the crib the next 3 games.
Yep. South Carolina is going to be a tough one because they're going to be tired. Now, South Carolina's not. They looked awful against Ole Miss, but, you know,
7
the
points.
defensive line, it looks like their defensive line didn't work anymore. Like, we thought that the defensive line was going to be a super threat. It didn't look like it worked anymore. And then Tennessee, going to Tennessee after Tennessee just got upset. It's going to be interesting in a couple of weeks. But, yeah, as people have stated, this is definitely not Nick Saban's Alabama squad. Right? Just the fact that Vanderbilt had the ball for 42 minutes in this game. When I saw that after the game, I was like, that is not a real stat. You're lying to me.
That's crazy.
So I wanted to wait till today to go look again, and sure enough, it wasn't a fluke.
No, that's crazy. Yeah, Tennessee's going to get Florida at home, Bama at home, Kentucky at home, Mississippi State at home, and then Georgia on the road. Tennessee has no break in this stretch.
Woof.
So,
woof. Look, I have a question for you. Did anybody tell Coach Kellen DeBoer and his staff that this is how the SEC is? That to be SEC
grind. I saw somebody tweet that out. That it's
because we were reminded that over and over.
Yeah, because we didn't know what was Teddy said. He's like, or no, was it Travis Davidson? He's like, nobody on our team was like, oh God, we forgot Tennessee and Arkansas and South Carolina. When did they join the SEC? Yeah, no, yeah, it's a different deal because like you said, Jay. When you have the back half of that Georgia game, it's not like that you just got another team out there playing ball with you and just absolutely just grinding. It was Georgia athletes grinding that whole second half, and that Bama defense was out there nonstop, and their offense was scoring quickly. And so, yeah, it's you need a team who's going to be willing to get it. Now, listen, does Pavia spend at least 3 days in the ice bath? Probably. That dude's probably in the recovery staff, quite a bit here the next couple days. But yeah, it's just, this was just an absolute, just crazy week because there were a lot of games that should have been blowouts, which were upsets.
Yeah, Let's move on to the next game. Tennessee, Arkansas. How did Arkansas let that happen? Did they just put their entire offense on pause? Because that's what they told us, right? We were told that Tennessee stopped playing offense against us.
Yes, and from what I'm seeing is now Heupel and Nico are no longer the best offensive duo in college football, but now it's all on them. Nico looked like a freshman quite often. Heupel got a lot of criticism for doing the stuff he did, but yeah, that was it. Tennessee had not, I guess, trailed at all this year, and they, it was 3-0 for quite a long time.
The entire first half.
Yeah, and so Arkansas did what they were supposed to do. I mean, Petrino, he called a game, and they leaned on that running game. And, I just, here's the thing that really kind of just blew my mind was the fact that it looked like any time that Tennessee tried to run the hurry up, it's like they weren't ready to go with the hurry up, and they really kind of strung themselves out. So, yeah, Tennessee fans, Hank, you're right. Tennessee fans saying, maybe Oklahoma could come grab Nico and Heupel, and get them out of here. I mean, but again, listen, man, it's when you have not been an actual relevant team in college football since the 90s, late 90s. Yeah, it was 98. But since you haven't been that team in quite a long time, man, that fan base is passionate, but it is absolutely it's absolutely funny. I mean, just watching them melt down. I mean, because just if you lined up the screens from 2 weeks ago hell, let's go with 5 days ago to it's just not, it's night and day. And so, but that's why the game's so fun, man.
It is, man. That's the best part about college football is that it's, people are going to lose their mind and they're going to want to fire their coaches immediately. Because, we've already been offered their coaching staff, which is kind of fascinating that been offered Josh Heupel back as well as Nico because the offense was bad. Shout out to Travis Williams, defensive coordinator at Arkansas. He had those boys in shambles. Right now, I mean, overall, Tennessee ran the game they would like. They passed for 150. They ran for 170. That looked like a game that Tennessee would typically win. They let Arkansas come back. And as much as I've heard about that Tennessee defense, they let Taylor Green, and then when he got hurt, they let the backup quarterback do their thing. Like, that to me is what was pretty baffling, right? Like, Taylor Green was out there cooking them. Like, they were down 14-3. Like you said, it was 3-0 up through the first half. Tennessee goes up 14-3, and you're like, okay, Tennessee's going to go ahead and pull away. And then Arkansas started driving. They scored, force a punt, get a field goal, and then everybody's punting because that's when Green gets hurt. And then Arkansas closed the game out with a touchdown. And then Nico running the ball out of bounds on that last play. That's where that shows the inexperience. No shade to him, but that's inexperience. What he should have done was what, Coop? Should have threw the ball up in the air.
Toss the ball, yeah, and you gotta give a chance for a play. I mean, because if you run it out, there's zero chance for anything to happen. And at least toss it up and let something happen. And so I mean that's. But again, you were going to see, you've got the rational Tennessee fan is like, well, we knew that, it was 9-3 is what we've been calling the whole time. No, come on now, man. Listen, after week 2, you guys were like, hey, we're going undefeated. This is the best team in the country. And well, where are them offensive rankings for Tennessee now? Because I'm assuming that you're nowhere near the top anymore. And you were actually playing teams with the defense, teams with bodies, not
pulse,
FCS teams, not ACC, lower end teams. So yeah, it's. But again, Arkansas took the game plan. They had more of a running game. They could lean on that running game. They took the OU game plan and they just continued to do that. It's you muscle up on those receivers, you hit them, and you swarm to the ball. And you don't let these guys with any yak. You don't let them, yards after contact either. And that's the absolute just 100 way to deal with them is you continue to put it on them and you make them grind. And That's been a big criticism for Heupel's teams and Heupel's offenses is when you start making them grind, they quit fighting as hard. Everybody's easy when you're running free and nobody's touching you.
Exactly. That's the game. So, all right, we're going to talk about the next game. We're going to talk about the rankings because I know y'all are curious about that. But first, word from the sponsor. Shout out to Prize Picks for sponsoring this video. Prize Picks is the most fun I've had playing daily fantasy sports this football season. All you have to do is select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projected stats, place your entry, and they're hooking you all up. Sign up with the code UNFAIR, and they will give you $50 instantly when you place your first $5 lineup. You don't even have to win in that lineup. You receive the $50 bonus because it's guaranteed. And so I tried out this past weekend with Cam Ward, took him at 300 plus passing yards, took the more. And then I looked at Dylan Gabriel, who was like 282.5. I took more on that too. I didn't hit on Dylan, but Cam Ward did come through with over 400 yards passing. And so you can do that too. Prize Picks makes it very simple to play. All I got to do is make my picks, submit my entry in less than 60 seconds, and boom, we're in. And y'all know I do stuff last minute. And they also have weekly promotions like Taco Tuesday, where, they hook you up with like a 25% discount on some of the player projections, which gets you even more value. So you got to check them out, especially with the next set of professional seasons coming up. So check them out. Go to prizepicks.com and use code UNFAIR to receive a guaranteed $50 once you play your first $5 lineup. Again, check out Prize Picks. PrizePicks.com. Use promo code UNFAIR to get that bonus. Prize Picks. Daily fantasy sports made easy. All right, let's look at these AP polls, man. So AP dropped theirs, coaches polls. And of course, I saw y'all in the comments kind of having beef with what was provided, right, Coop? I mean, as you can see on here, we really did not. We're tied for 18th with Indiana and Kansas State. Right, Indiana 6-0, and Kansas State, we moved up basically a spot. Kansas State moved up 2 spots. Basically no love. I'm gonna break this down even more a little bit later. Coop, how did you feel about when you saw the AP and the coaches poll keep us around 18 and 16?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Not at all, because this is where it is right now. Man, it's like kind of looking, it's a good story for a few people close to the statistic, but it'd be like after week 1 in Major League Baseball, the number 9 hitter for the White Sox, leading the league in batting average, only for them to have the worst season in history by the end of it. And so this looks like listen, man, this is just the national narrative around Texas. It has been kind of ridiculous from the get-go. And now this is the first team that Texas gets to show up and play that has anything worthwhile on either side of the ball. And so if Oklahoma goes out and takes care of business this week, now we can talk about the ratings. We can talk about the rankings. I did notice that Iowa State getting a little bit more love. They got to move up. Ole
5 spots. Wow.
Yeah, they moved up quite a bit. That was one that I really found interesting. SMU back up and in the rankings. The Miami continues to go up the rankings, even though they've had questionable officiating 2 weeks in a row. And listen, it's the game still has to go. So what does Texas do? Does Texas sit there and go, oh man, we're number 1? Because what have we always said about Texas? Texas and expectations, oil and water. Those things don't usually go too well together. And Texas has no excuses at all, because based off of this, they should run away, and based off the line, they should run away. But we saw lines don't mean much of anything in college football, especially this week. And so OU, you just stay right there. Listen, I understand why we're there, Jay. We have shown not much on offense, not much syncrecy, not much play capability. And so you've got the opportunity to go out and take down now the the current rated number 1 team in the country. And
Yep.
if Texas goes out and wins, everybody looks smart.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. The beauty of Red River is that it's always a crapshoot, no matter what. I think last year Texas was 7.5 point favorite in that game. There was like an 80% chance on the FPI as far as a predictor they were going to win the game, and we saw what happened, right? So I'm not too concerned in that capacity right now. The bigger thing is that we just got to keep winning, keep pushing, keep winning. My favorite part is that we got, let me see. We got this week, and Texas doesn't know about our passing game. They don't know what we actually have on offense, right? Everybody sees our offense isn't very good, and yeah, we're in a passing game. So because of that, they kind of don't know. Like, it's funny, I was talking to, Steven and Nino over there, Nino's Corner and Fanatic Perspective, and their big thing was, I'm so glad that we got some tape on Michael Hawkins now. That was basically the excitement that they showed because they understand that it's going to be tough. Like, right? You don't know what you've got in front of you. You have no clue. And week over week, Michael has gotten better. That's what's important. So right now it is, I think it's like, I saw one had 15, one had 14. So yeah, right now we just got to see continued progression, in which I think we will. We got the bye week at the perfect time. And honestly, I try to tell y'all, man, I thought the byes were really strategically placed in the perfect spots for Oklahoma. This was probably the best thing that happened to us, is that we've got our bye weeks where we got our bye weeks. Honestly, it's still really good for Texas as well, right? So the game should be very, 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 very competitive. So pretty excited about that, man. But the polls were, whatevs. Dive into them on a separate video like I always do every week. Let's go about some more of these games in the SEC. Thank y'all for pulling up. Hit the like button if you're new to the channel. Subscribe, rate, review, give us 5. We got one of our Texas fans in here talking smack. Texas #1, we are back. Hey, thanks for pulling up. We always appreciate the eyeballs. I don't mind y'all talking smack in the chat. Y'all can talk smack and be respectful. We always enjoy noise talkers. But after you have your Vanderbilt game and your Arkansas game and your Missouri game, USC lost to Minnesota on the road.
Oh, hey, Jay. Lincoln said that they're close.
They're close.
They're close,
They're
brother.
close.
They're close.
That's crazy to me. And I actually picked USC to win that game because I just haven't seen anything out of Minnesota to sell me on them being able to win. They lost.
Well, if you're seeing the screenshots of the message boards, there is a good mixture of, man, I'm just pissed that OU fans were right. How is this guy elite? Again, now you're going to start seeing the national pundits. They're going to start teeing off on Lincoln because it is low-hanging fruit. Absolutely low-hanging fruit. Because there is going to be just, it's the nice capper is how can DeBoer and Alabama lose to Vanderbilt? How can Tennessee with this prolific offense lose to Arkansas? And then they're going to have the cherry on top, which is Lincoln Riley yet again loses to a completely inferior team. And it's not like it's a team that has a pedigree of being a tough, defensive-minded, strategic team. It's Minnesota, a team that people were going, maybe PJ Fleck and maybe Minnesota, maybe they missed their opportunity to make their jumps. And then all of a sudden they go do that. And guess what, Jay? It don't get easier because guess where they go play this week?
Penn State.
The Valley of Happiness.
Do they go to Happy Valley or does Happy Valley come to them?
Is it?
Let me see. Oh, Happy Valley comes to them. They're traveling cross country. So they get optimal weather as well. Right now, Penn State's a 5.5 point favorite on the road. That to me is a very, very big red flag.
Yes, because Penn State now listen, this is the massive, massive point to where this, even though I think that Penn State runs in there and wins, maybe you're going to start hearing stuff like, does this count as, I think our Discord was having this conversation, is this finally, Franklin's quality win?
Signature win? Yeah, that signature win.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, heck no. I got yelled at for that, by the way.
But at the same time, I mean, this is one of those games to where, like, hey, there's no excuses right here. You should go in and win. This is the type of game that Penn State traditionally loses. So we'll see what happens, because I can tell you this is what we saw in the LSU USC game, to where, like, maybe USC's transformation, strength and conditioning, maybe they got a defensive line that could actually stand up. Nope. That is not the case. And so, do you learn it? All you've learned is it's more of the same. It's more of the same. Without a Heisman-capable quarterback, Lincoln Riley's offense looks very
pedestrian. They really only put up 17 points against Minnesota. Now, look, I've said this about PJ Fleck. I've asked the question, did Fleck miss his window of getting another job? I mean, he's stuck around Minnesota all this time, and it just has not been they lost to Iowa. They gave up 31 points to Iowa. Yeah. At home.
Iowa scored, what was it, is it the second to last, or they have 7 points in the fourth quarter this week against Ohio State.
Ohio State did not let them score into the fourth quarter. Minnesota let Iowa score 31 points on them. Then they lost to Michigan. In Michigan, granted, road game. But they let Iowa score 31 points on them.
It's another game. It's another game. I mean, USC is quick. I mean, here's the deal. There's not very many people who are fans of the old Trojans who feel like the program is going anywhere. I saw Matt Leinart tweeted out, feels like we're stuck in neutral. I thought that they would be a better comprehensive offensive scheme without Caleb Williams back there, and that doesn't look like the case. And we said, hey, listen, what is it going to be when it's a boxing match? That you may beat some of these teams, and if I'm not mistaken, hold on a second, let me see here, because I may have a revelation here. But you get Happy Valley coming to you this week, and then if I'm not mistaken,
right afterwards.
Is it the Rutgers? Good. Is it the Rutgers game yet next, or
no? They travel to Maryland, and then Rutgers comes to town.
Okay, so it was the cross country. So you just lost at Minnesota. Now you got Penn State coming to the crib, and then you got to turn around next week and go all the way out to Maryland.
Yep.
Listen, this is where I thought that it might start coming apart. Is the movement. Now, did I expect for them to? I expected for them to lose to Wisconsin and beat Minnesota, so it's kind of a wash there. But and then after they do that, they got Rutgers at home. Rutgers is playing well. Washington, that's probably going to be a couple of unranked teams at that point.
That's gonna be wild to me to even believe that there's gonna be unranked. That USC, I mean, one, they're unranked right now, but the fact that there's potential for them to stay so unranked that they won't get back into the rankings until probably November, potentially. Like, they have to win it on the road in Maryland. They're going to have to beat Rutgers at home, in which Rutgers, sneaky good team right now. They're 4-1, 1-1 in the conference.
Very much.
Rick Schiano's got them boys playing.
Schiano and Rutgers. That's the perfect combo. Schiano anywhere else, not so much. But Schiano and Rutgers,
so much.
That's it.
Right. And so, from
Washington,
there, go ahead. I'm sorry. What you say?
I was going to say, you got Washington, then you get to go and bring Nebraska in the house. Nebraska obviously looks like a different team. UCLA, and then the Notre Dame game, the last game of the year. Right now, Notre Dame's still sitting at number 11. Even after the Southern Illinois.
So many good games for us. Oh, man. Just warmed your heart watching those upsets. There was 7 total ranked teams lose to a lower ranked team. 6 of them lost to unranked teams. That is bananas. So I'm glad. I hope y'all enjoyed the weekend, and I hope y'all got to relax and just sit there and watch it. I didn't make it through the Miami game. I tried to make it through the Miami Cal game. I passed out. That game didn't kick off till 9:30. I was up early watching all this stuff. I didn't have the energy. I woke up this morning and looked at it again and was like, oh, like what I see. So thank y'all for pulling up as usual. Hit the like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, rate, review, give us 5 if you're listening on the podcast version. Coop, what does all of this movement mean for the Sooners, right? Ryan asked a really good question here. Do we think we could beat Arkansas at Arkansas? Yeah, I do. I think our defense is good enough to do that. We went to Auburn and played pretty good at the end, right? Like, you could tell that we were trying to figure things out offensively, and it feels like we've gotten some comfort there. And I can't believe Auburn's lost 3 straight games, though. That's crazy to me. Arkansas walked into their house and beat them. We beat them. And then they lost to Georgia. Now they travel to Missouri after this bye week. But
yeah, I mean, Arkansas,
there's a good chance they could beat Missouri, too.
Arkansas did a nice little double OT win at Oklahoma State. And what has happened in Stillwater? Because West Virginia took them to school this week. People have turned on the defensive coordinator. People have turned on the offensive coordinator. People have turned on Ollie Gordon. I mean, it has been straight downhill since they got the comeback and the win over Arkansas, and then the Tulsa shellacking, and then it's just been. Bowman threw for 116 yards against West Virginia this week.
He's been there 6 years. There's no excuse. If he was young, I'd say, yeah, he's still trying to figure things. No, he's been there. Been in college football for like 19, for legitimately 6-7 years. There's no reason. So, but we're going to be talking all OU Texas on the Midway show. We won't be doing it now, but we're going to be definitely having our hate week conversations because it's going to be fun. It's going to be all hate, 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 hate.
Yeah.
But Coop, Auburn goes to Missouri in 2 weeks. Them playing Georgia, pretty tough to start the game, and then the wheels fell off.
Yeah.
Not bad.
It was, and
it was 21-10 at one point.
I mean, it was 7-3 for quite a long time, and
yeah,
I still think that I think Mr. Freeze may be his own worst enemy for his quarterback. You saw it against the Oklahoma game, where he is absolutely growing, just going after, Peyton, and. I can't see that being good for a quarterback, just screaming at them the entire time, man. Like I said, at my daughter's soccer game, and we kind of had that conversation about like yelling at the kids, getting back on defense. Like sometimes you just got to sit back and let them kind of figure stuff out, because if they're listening everywhere, they're not thinking about the play. Nope. And that's it, because and just not turning around and handing the ball off more than they did. Like, I still don't understand
why Hugh Freeze didn't do that. Right.
Jarquez Hunter was still averaging 6 yards a carry against Georgia through most of the first 2 quarters. And then they just wouldn't turn and hand it to him. And sometimes, I mean, there's other stuffs in play. What does the box look like? Is it the quarterback's decision-making on RPO? But, man, I don't know how you don't just turn around and say, let's put the ball in Hunter's hands, because I mean, the dude was he was cruising.
He was nailed. Cool. 13 carries, 91 yards, 7 yards per carry.
Yeah. 13 carries for the entire game. And
baffling.
Like we said, the first half, I mean, he was averaging over 6, and then I think that he got down to like 5.2, and then it went up after that. So just got to get out of your own way.
That's the most important thing. Just get out your own way and go win games. They didn't try. I don't know. I put it this way. For Oklahoma moving forward, this is what the Oklahoma students need to do. What Brent Venables needs to focus on. Not only is this the most important game of the season, right? Like every week is the most important game, which I appreciate. That's what BV likes to preach. We got to go out there with a new look on offense, and we got to take some shots, man. Keep taking shots. I love that we were taking shots against Auburn. That warmed me up. When we did that, you start to see things open up more. You start seeing the defense care about certain things. You start to step back, right? That's what we're going to have to do against Texas. We'll be the best defense they'll see to start. And they're not going to be able to fully... I mean, the good thing is BV has an understanding of Sarkisian. So the offense is going to have to control the clock and focus on not only moving the chains, but occasionally make the defense be honest. BV knows Makuba. Remember, he was there with him at Clemson. He recruited him. It's one of his guys. Makuba loves BV. You'll probably see them interact with each other. It's all love. Surprised we didn't try to snatch him, but at the same time, our safety room is pretty busy. It's pretty stacked. Pretty stacked. Hey, Robert Spears Jennings is getting himself drafted. But I don't know if we'll see Burks. There's a chance. I do expect to see Tatum. I don't expect to see Nick Anderson or Andrell Anthony. I expect to see more. I actually do expect to see Jacoby this week. I think they will find a way to blend them. Because at this point, Michael Hawkins is going to just need wide receivers to make moves. I know he has a good relationship with Petaway. But we need to see the veteranness out of the wide receivers to create openings for him, which I think even J.J. Hester can do that.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I think we're still looking 50-50 on Burks, and even if he plays, how confident is he? Because if it is the thigh bruise, which has been circulating around, you're worried about taking one more shot to that area, because if it's a bruise and there's still anything there, any type of you like used to do with the buddies back in college, we do the Charlie horse and just do the nice little knuckle right to the quad. Yeah, that's something, that's a different type of game. So these are the chemistry pieces there with Hawkins. He's now had 3 weeks of QB1 reps. I think that the big issue for Oklahoma this week is going to be, again, know and be calculated when you want to take your shots, because you need to, if you get the opportunity for a 2nd and 2, you need to be able to take a shot, and you need to go do that. This is a very, very mobile quarterback, who also can throw it. It's not, Alex Orji was not a guy who had any, much arm talent at all, and has still yet to show any type of, multiple passes in a game to where you're at least like, well, that looked good. And that Hawkins does have that capability. I think that taking the checkdowns is a big piece. So I was watching the Jets and Vikings game today, and it seemed like Aaron Rodgers, early in that game was not willing to take the checkdowns, and it kept on putting them further and further and further behind the 8 ball. By the time they did, it was kind of a little too late. And you can't get yourself in a rhythm when you're already, 5 for 18. So I think that you take those checkdowns. I think some of those checkdowns coming in the way of Taylor Tatum. That's something a little bit better. If you're going to rub any of these, running these rub routes, you got to do some play acting for the tight ends. I think that there's going to be a good game plan. The defense is going to have good rest, and that's the most important part about this. Is the defense is going to be well rested, because those guys were on the field quite a bit for the first for several games, and so now it
Agreed.
is you get that rest there. The offense needs to be able to prolong that rest. That means limiting the 3 and outs. I don't care if you get 3 or 4 first downs. That's fine. If you have to punt, that's fine. You got a big weapon in Elzinga, but you can't roll out and turn the ball right back over on offense. You've got to have some sustained success.
Not at all. Exactly. And you got to keep moving the ball. That's going to be the most important thing. It's going to be time, controlling some time. And Bellum asks good questions. Anybody tested Texas' secondary? Closest team to do that was Mississippi State with Michael Van Buren, but he was a freshman, and that was like only his second start. I think that was his second start of the season, because Blake Shapen got hurt. But the funny thing is, score was 14-6 at the half in that game. Then the second half, Texas took over. So Mississippi State ain't got our defense. Let's just put it that way.
They don't have much of a defense.
They don't have a defense, like, at all. So going to be some struggles. Jimmy asks, will Jacoby play? I expect to see Jacoby play more in this game. I expect Jacoby. I expect them to find some packages just to get him on the field. I can see Burks playing as a decoy, but I don't know if Burks is actually going to play. I'm still waiting to see a confirmation from BV. We'll see the injury report on Wednesday, and of course, we'll have a video to talk about that. Sooners in Texas asks, where the heck do we have passing game? Is Burks or Farouk coming back? Hester still improving, so it's the DBs that are switching sides of the ball. Yeah, we're playing with the players that are available. People are hurt. Can't do anything about that. Injuries happen. That's the beauty of playing football. So it's going to be a tough game, right? UT for life. What's good, bro? He said he's actually worried. He says 24-23 Texas. That's respect. The fact that you actually showed that kind of respect, I salute you. Most Texas fans I've talked to have been talking just mess. Like, this is going to be a blowout. You're one of like 5 fans that I've actually seen come on and say, nah, dog, this game's going to be closer than I'm going to like. There's certain questions that they even have for their own team that need to be shown for them to go forward. I mean, heck, Bama beat Georgia, and then they just took this L. My point is, teams that walk in too confident have a possibility of... I don't have that type of confidence in us winning. I have confidence in us making it a game. I have a confidence in us making it muddy because our defense has done well with that, right? We haven't given up 30 points this season so far, and we should have.
And
really think about
Jay, and I say this, is there's 2 factors, and we'll talk about it more on Wednesday night. Quinn's going to get the start.
Yep.
And how's that going to look after being rusty? I mean, if he wasn't an abdominal strain, dude's going to get hit. He is going to get hit. And if the game plan is to get the ball out super, super fast, that's hard to do much against OU's defense doing that. We saw Tennessee try it. It doesn't work out very well.
Yep.
Where you can do it is being super calculated on taking those shots. But I promise you, this is one of those games to where that's going to be a factor. Also, I think the fans more than the coaching staff. But I mean, is there any opportunity to where with Georgia looming next week, is there any eyeball still kind of peeking into that?
That's the one for me. Right? Like, I've heard some Texas fans. Now, I'm not going to blanket every single Texas fans, but the ones that I've had conversations with, they're looking past us. They say to me, "Oh, Oklahoma, I mean, this is y'all's Super Bowl, not ours." And I've heard me say this before on the channel. I've heard people say that. I'm just laughing like, so you don't care about your rivals. Well, I mean, it's not that big of a deal for us. We're a new team. We're this, that, and the other, right? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay. And I've spent a lot of time in Texas, in airports and driving around Dallas and Houston. I've been around those areas, and that's what I'm hearing from them. Like, so that's what we're doing. Okay, I'm not gonna fight you. Not gonna fight you. But that's what you're doing. The problem is that, look, I think a lot of them are looking past to Georgia. Everybody wants to knock Georgia off because, honestly, you knock Georgia off, Georgia may not make the conference championship game.
Yeah.
And to me, that's where the eyeballs are. It's a little Oklahoma. Their offense is too young. We're not worried about them. But Georgia, yeah, We need to see if they're ready, which is hilarious.
It's yeah.
I
I
see a
mean,
close game personally.
it's going to. I mean, listen. This is Red River Rivalry. This is RRR, and what it means is nobody knows. Nobody knew what that game was going to look like last year. Nobody knew what that game was going to look like. The Caleb Williams, Spencer Rattler year. Everybody pretty much knew what was about to happen the year where we were rolling out guys who are playing in FCS and extremely low D1 teams right now, trying to run out a quarterback. I mean, we were playing a tight end and a running back at quarterback for most of the game, and so but again, everybody's going to show up when it's time to kick off. It is go out there and prove it, because these guys are going to want to prove on both sides of the ball. And what do the teams? And again, what was it? Furry, Furry Murray. Thanks for showing up, especially rough weekend, brother. Man, I feel for you. But he said if Bama can lose to Vandy, surely OU can bring something to play with. Listen, it's.
Oh, word! Wait, Furry Murray actually showing respect. What?
He's
no, I know him very well. He usually shoots me text messages and talks about that Oklahoma's not SEC ready, and I just laugh at him every time. I'm like, look, man, you keep saying that. It's because you're a Bama fan. Don't mean that. Just got to understand, anybody can lose around here, and hey, a lot of people get humbled quickly.
It is. You still got to show up and play. And
yep.
I wondered just from the get-go, and I think this is one of the big things I said at the beginning of the season, is there are so many changes going across the board. And with every single team, a lot of different situations, whether it was new coaching staffs, new quarterbacks, new coordinators, and we're still seeing that play out. Is you still have yet to see a team really play with massive consistency. And so, yeah, here we go. It's this is again what, like Coach Edwards says, it's why you play the game.
You play to win the game. Hello. Yeah. That's what we're here for. And I'm excited. It's going to be so much fun this weekend. If you are going, let me know. Hop in the comments. Love to hear from you all. No Coop's going to be floating around there at the fair. Y'all got to be safe out there. It's going to be tough. Weather should be optimal. So it's going to be optimal weather at 2:30. It's going to probably be hot, actually, right? It's going to be hot, ain't it? Yeah, think about it. It's probably going to be like, let me look at this weather real quick. Pull up this. Yeah, it's going to be like 90 degrees down there.
That's okay. Last year
That's
it was
beautiful.
like 60 some odd degrees, walking from the car, and then by midday it was
like 88, 89. It was hot. It's about the same. It's like 60 something to start. It's supposed to be like 88 to 90 by game time, which sign me up for it. I'm here for it. So, all right, we're going to get out of here. We just wanted to come hang out with y'all a little bit. It's Sunday. We always do this every week, so thank y'all for pulling up per the norm. We're going to talk a lot more about Texas. We'll dive into that probably on Wednesday. We'll have the SEC Connect this week. I'm going to shoot Coop a link. He's going to have to jump in with us on that one, because that's going to be a fun conversation. Make sure y'all hit the like button if you're new to the channel. Subscribe, rate, review, give us 5. Shout out to Prize Picks. Thank you for sponsoring this video. Link in the description below. You can sign up with the code UNFAIR and get $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, daily fantasy sports made easy. We're out. We'll chop it up with you all in a few days. Be good. Horns down. Peace.